This is the second in a series about what popular mechanics called better than a wall. 2 days before Donald Trump was elected president, the Sierra Vista Herald ran a story about a new Border Patrol tower to be built at Montezuma Pass. Border Patrol and Park Service representatives explained that the tower would replace two mobile radar camera trucks parked at the popular tourist attraction. The nonprofit watchdog group American Border Patrol, long a critic of the government's use of technology on the border, took a look at the planned tower. It wasn't happy. It questioned the ability of the towers to detect border threats. The view from the overlook is mostly of heavy scrub oak forest. Not seen are the numerous deep washes. ABP raised similar issues with towers installed near Nogales, Arizona. Quite by accident, ABP discovered 7 more towers under construction that had not been mentioned in the Herald Review report. The Park Service had issued a permit for the towers 3 weeks after Donald Trump was elected president.
I will build a great wall.
The permit was issued by the Obama administration. Drone footage taken by ABP during the construction of the new towers raised viewshed issues. ABP published its criticism on its website. In 2016, the chairwoman of the House Border Subcommittee reported that integrated towers seemed to be working. At that same hearing, officials reported that integrated fixed towers work in flat terrain. ABP had reported that integrated fixed towers near Nogales were placed in mountainous terrain. ABP questioned the ability of tower radars to penetrate the Coronado Forest. On June 12, 2017, the Office of Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security issued a special report on technology acquired to secure the border. The DHS reported that a 2014 GAO report found that integrated fixed towers were not tested to see if they met operational requirements.
For example, integrated fixed towers deployed along the border in Arizona provide a long-range persistent surveillance. These tower systems automatically detect and track items of interest and provide centralized operators with video and geospatial location of suspected items of interest for identification and appropriate action.
In their written testimony, the CBP witnesses reported that integrated fixed towers in the Coronado Forest would be tested in September of 2017. 2 days following that hearing, the Herald Review published a video made by American Border Patrol entitled, "Are the New Border Cameras Blind?" At the time of the hearing, Chairwoman McSally had an office in Sierra Vista, now occupied by a Democrat. Customs and Border Protection is building 8 new towers south of Sierra Vista in the Coronado National Forest, called integrated fixed towers. They use radar to detect human movement. On June 12th, the government issued a special report. It said that the integrated fixed towers have never been properly tested. American Border Patrol, the nonprofit, decided to take a look at one of those camera towers. It is located near a deep wash. ABP sent a person to walk toward that wash, beginning near the tower. A drone flew up behind the camera. It was not in operation, and followed the test subject. He was wearing a GoPro camera on his chest. He pauses for a moment before climbing down the deep wash. You can hear the sound of the drone overhead from his GoPro camera. This is not an easy hike. Could the radar atop the camera tower detect him here? We think not. Reaching the bottom of the wash, he heads north in heavy foliage, perfect cover for smugglers and terrorists. This wash runs all the way to Mexico. ABP checked another camera tower nearby and found even deeper washes and heavier forests. If these cameras don't work, America is vulnerable. Contact Secretary Kelly and demand that the Coronado Towers be investigated. The DHS IG said the IFT operational requirements were not tested. In its 2015 joint press release with CBP, Elbit reported that the integrated fixed towers met performance requirements to detect, track, identify, and classify movements on the border. Is it reasonable to ask how effective the tower systems are at detecting, tracking, identifying, and classifying movements on or near the border? CBP could use the red team, blue team approach, where one team of security pros attacks something and the blue team defends it. It could send agents to test the ability of the camera systems. In 2004, ABP used the red team, blue team to test Border Patrol's ability to detect a weapon of mass destruction crossing the border. One member was a former Army sniper. The WMD reached the federal building without detection. ABP learned Border Patrol changed its tactics. Could this integrated fixed tower at Montezuma Pass detect and track agents crossing the border more than a mile away? This integrated fixed tower didn't seem to notice a drone flying a few feet away. Would it notice red team agents walking through a deep forest 3 miles away? Red team agents would have to cover up deep washes and arroyos and a forest of oak trees as they approach this tower from the border 2 miles away. Sonoyta is one of 7 areas of operation in the Tucson sector. The 8 Coronado Forest towers are in the Sonoyta AOR. On February 6, 2018, Elbit issued a press release that CBP had accepted the integrated fixed towers in the Sonoyta AOR. On March 15th, a hearing of the House Border Subcommittee was held, Chairwoman Martha McSally presiding. It was called Bang for the Buck, What Do We Get for $33 Billion? Witnesses were CBP Undersecretary Grady, CBP Acting Deputy Commissioner Vitiello, and Rebecca Gambler of the Government Accountability Office.
And today I'm going to highlight our key findings and recommendations. First, as it relates to the deployment of surveillance technologies, DHS has made progress. As of November 2017, DHS had completed deployment of selected technologies to areas in Arizona, Texas, and California. These technologies include fixed and mobile assets with cameras and radars. For example, DHS reported deploying all planned remote video surveillance systems and mobile surveillance capability systems to Arizona. DHS also deployed 15 of 53 integrated fixed tower systems to Arizona as of November 2017.
According to Elbit, integrated fixed towers in the Sonoyta AOR were accepted on February 6, 2018. Elbit also reported that Nogales and Douglas towers had been accepted, bringing the total IFTs accepted by CBP to 23. The total given by Ms. Gambler excluded the 8 Coronado towers that were to have been tested the previous September. The DHS IG questioned IFT testing based on a 2014 report by Ms. Gambler. Ms. Gambler could have questioned the CBP person responsible for accepting integrated fixed towers as to the current status. He was sitting next to her at the hearing. It could be argued that Ms. Gambler gave false testimony to Congress by failing to report on the true status of integrated fixed towers. She neglected to report on the results of testing of 8 towers, despite the issue raised by DHS Inspector General in a special report based on her findings. Elbit had announced acceptance of the Douglas towers in 2017. 8 towers had been erected, some in questionable locations. In 2019, work began on a new wall 20 miles near Douglas, where towers had been installed 2 years earlier. It is a $400 million project. Very near one of the integrated fixed towers. As of June 1st, 2020, DHS had no plans for a new wall south of Fort Huachuca. Apparently, existing vehicle barriers and integrated fixed towers are sufficient to protect Army Intelligence Headquarters. DHS has no plans for a new wall along one of the busiest migration and smuggling corridors in Arizona. Instead, it will rely on 10 integrated fixed towers. Elbit Systems of America sponsored a large booth at the 2019 Border Expo in San Antonio. A click on the booth icon produced an ad for integrated fixed towers. Fine print at the bottom of the ad said our integrated fixed towers cover open terrain. According to Wikipedia, open terrain is terrain which is mostly flat and free of obstructions such as trees and buildings. Did Elbit add this caveat after testing of its integrated fixed towers in Arizona? At the March 15th hearing, Ms. Gambler told Representative Correa that CBP had no way to evaluate any system, including a wall.
Here would tell you there people are going to start probing the northern border, the border in the north, as well as their ports of entry. Where do we get our best bang for the buck, which comes back to, do we have essentially a metrics in place to gauge where we get our best bang for the buck?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. From the GAO perspective, that's a very important line of inquiry. Based on our work, DHS does not have metrics in place for assessing the contributions that these different investments are making to border security, and we have open recommendations to the department in that area as it relates to both, specifically to both technologies and infrastructure or barriers. I would also
So we don't know right now, based on the data we have, where the best place is to invest our taxpayer dollars.
If it's ultimately determined that integrated fixed towers fail to meet performance requirements, it may join other border technology systems that have either failed or been a major disappointment. The Government Accountability Office has called for the use of border metrics for many years.
The president's proposal, there's nothing on the table other than what's in his head and what he's saying. GAO looked at it back last summer and said they could find no matrix or anything as to what they would do if they had this money.
From its very start, the nonprofit American Border Patrol sought a solution to the metric problem. It gave talks at government security conferences. According to ABP, unless and until an effective border metric system is in place, future attempts at security, including a border wall, run the risk of failure and disappointment, such as the Integrated Fixed Tower Program.